Hey, this is Tim Totten with Final Embrace, and I'm just finishing up one of the masks that we're making for medical professionals in our community. We've got our company working and a bunch of local volunteers. These are reusable fabric masks, but this requires a little bit of sewing. But in light of the fact that the CDC has just encouraged all Americans to wear some type of fabric face mask or improvised mask when you're out in public, and that 6 feet social distancing rule can't always happen, like say when you're at the grocery store or in line at the pharmacy, we thought we'd show you some ways that you can make your own mask without having to have any sewing ability whatsoever. So what I'm going to show you is a mask made out of paper towels, a mask made out of scarves, a tea towel, and then of course the one that we all have, a mask made out of t-shirts. So let's get started with our first one. It'd be a mask made from paper towels. This is when you really are in a bind and have to have a mask right away. We're gonna fold this mask in half twice toward the center here. Go once and then on the back. And then we'll put a rubber band on each side. And when we do that, we're gonna flip over that amount of space and using a stapler. Now I have this fancy little stapler, but you can just use a standard red slimline swing line stapler. I'm going to put a couple staples in there. That's one side done, and I'm gonna do the same with the other side. And the reason I'm doing this is just to get these sort of elasticated edges on here so that it can go around my ears. And again, this is maybe not one you'd use every single day, but if you're in a bind and have to have a face mask, you're gonna open up that mask a little bit now, and now you can create something that goes over your mouth and your nose. They go over your ears, and you're just trying to keep your mouth and your nose covered. The idea of these improvised masks or these cotton masks is to keep you from expelling anything from your lungs. So it's not meant to filter out everything that you breathe in, and it's not meant to keep you from contracting something necessarily. It's really meant for you not to pass things on because you may be asymptomatic. The CDC has a whole guidelines there, and you can watch a press conference from a couple days ago with the president and the Surgeon General really explaining that. Then of course you can go, like I just went to the dollar store and bought this very fashionable scarf, only $1, surprisingly. And if you have scarves at home, you can just literally put it over your face. You're just trying to keep your face from you pushing anything out into the air, or for anything necessarily landing in your mouth or let you breathe in right away. So a regular scarf, no problem. You can also use a towel out of your kitchen. Now some people call these tea towels or just a kitchen towel. This is a microfiber towel, and I'm just gonna fold it into thirds. It's a brand new one, so it doesn't smell like dinner or anything. And you can either wrap this around your head, or if you get some of these hair ties, I just bought a set of hair ties, and these are sort of the larger ones. I'm gonna take them and put one at each end, much like we did with the rubber bands. The difference here though is I'm going to fold it more into thirds. So I put one on each side here and fold it in on itself. And then, you can kind of tuck them into each other. Here, that's really helpful. And depending on how big your face is, you might have to tuck more. But now I have, when I put it next to my face, it's very comfortably holding onto my ears. And I think it's actually quite stylish. Now, if you have a particular motif in your kitchen, get one that has roosters or cows or whatever on it. And then after the pandemic's over, you have a nice dish towel for your house. Now, what I really want to show you though is the one that we're making out of t-shirts. Now this is a t-shirt sleeve with a strap from the bottom of the t-shirt that can go through. So why don't we check out how to do that one? We're gonna need to grab a t-shirt, and I'm gonna grab one from our friends at the Lady of the Lakes Renaissance Fair. Happens in November, supports the Educational Foundation of Lake County. And I'm going to get my trusty scissors and just cut off one of the sleeves. And because I want it to look kind of pretty, I'm gonna go really close to the edge here. Looks good. We have a sleeve now. That's gonna form the basis of our face mask. And then I will just look at it and decide maybe I wanna straighten the bottom edge up. And so I'm gonna cut that a little bit more straight. But again, you're not really worried about how pretty this looks. It's not that big of a concern. So now we have the part that'll go on our face. Now maybe with a bigger shirt, you can get a bigger sleeve out of there if you want to. And of course, remember you have 2 sleeves on each shirt, so you can make 2 masks with this. Then we're gonna go to the very bottom edge of the t-shirt, and we want something that's sort of a finished piece, so I'm gonna just go ahead and cut and do a little snip, and then I'm gonna put my scissors through just one layer, and cut pretty close to these stitch lines. And that's gonna give us sort of a finished piece at the bottom that gets cut off here. It becomes a really long strap that I can use to tie this face mask. Now I could cut it into 2 pieces if I wanted and use one for each side so that it does more like a traditional surgical mask or the medical mask that we're making for people in our community that are working in the medical field. But really, I like the idea of having one long loop that goes around your head and then you only have to tie the other one. I'm gonna go through all of this entire thing on the bottom here. And this is like, I think, a large or an extra large shirt because it's for me. And so it's gonna be a little bit bigger around in the bottom. If you have a smaller shirt, you might need to see which one you're gonna use for which person. But I figure I need a large shirt and I have a large head. So I'm gonna find an area here where it was sort of seamed together if there is one, and if not, I'll just make a place and cut it open. So now I've got this long length. All right, and what we do next is we slip that, the loop of that, sort of the finished edge, will stay at the side where the finished edge of the mask. So we'll put that through. And then you have to figure out sort of how far up you need this to be. And the best way to do that really is gonna be to put it on your face. So what I'm gonna do is try to hold this with my hands and slip and put it on my mouth here, hold it with one hand, and then I can sort of figure out where it needs to go to rest comfortably on my head. Okay, so I feel like I have that. I'm holding it with my hand and I'm stretching it kind of tight over my ears so it's comfortable. And then I know I need to put a staple on each side. So I can just take my stapler if I want to. I would suggest putting the inside of the staple towards your face, but I don't have to worry about that here because I can just flip the mask over. Sometimes it helps if you have a mirror to do this with. I don't right now, so I'm gonna take it and I'll take the other side off, and I know that it needs to staple right in here through the band and through the side of the mask. So I'm gonna get that sort of straightened up where I'm happy with it. Put my stapler in, staple through it. Oh good, it worked. Doesn't look pretty, but it doesn't really matter, does it? All right, so now that's a finished mask. And I'm gonna place it on my head, tie it around behind, and now I've got a simple finished face mask out of just one sleeve of a t-shirt. Now here's the nice part. If you really wanted to, you could stitch the bottom edge and fit filters inside. Now, good example. We've cut some filters out of, this is just a standard HVAC filter. It's by Honeywell. It's a 9 on their rating. And it's got a little metal piece here. You could, if you wanted, put this inside of the mask. If you're worried about filtration, really, that's only something that people in the medical field might be concerned with, that you could open up your mask. And I will fold this sort of small enough to fit in there. Place it on the inside. You could also use blue shop towels that they sell at automotive stores and other places like that. And you could create a filter then that when it goes on your face, gives you a little more filtration if you're gonna be in an area that you're really concerned about. So that's how to make a basic mask out of a t-shirt. And if you had to get another mask out of the other sleeve, you literally could just cut another strip off the bottom of your shirt. It just won't be as pretty as this one. And then you've now made, in less than 5 minutes, a basic fabric mask for you to be able to go outside and meet CDC requirements. Again, I'm Tim Totten with Final Embrace. Thanks for watching.